So we are moving on to session 4 of our lesson 25 on converting measurements. And we will just again go over some of the techniques we've already learned in the previous lessons and just demonstrate those throughout the lesson. So let's start with a warm up. So for the warm up, we're given this scenario. It says how many liters are equivalent to 250 milliliters? Well, the basic thing to do when you start conversions is to recognize which is the larger and which is the smaller. And I know if I'm comparing 1 liter and 1 milliliter, a liter's the larger one, and then a milliliter is the smaller. And one of the biggest clues for that is the presence of this prefix here called milli. Milli means it's 1,000 times smaller. In the opposite way, kilo means it's 1,000 times bigger. So take using that, we know 1 liter will equal 1,000 milliliters. So what we want to do is we want to convert this 250 milliliters, which is our smaller, and we want to talk about it in larger context or convert from a smaller to a larger measurement. To do that, when small to large, we're going to divide by 1,000 in this case. And 1,000 is a good thing because then all we have to do is move our decimal point. And if I have 3 zeros here, I know I moved that decimal 3 places. So I'm going to move it once, twice, and stop right here for the third one. And my final answer will be 0.25 liters. So 250 milliliters is 0.25 liters or 0.25, whichever. But that should make sense because 250 is 1/4 or a quarter of 1 liter. So we've represented that with our final answer. So a lot of this lesson is going to be just determining, are we converting a larger measurement to a smaller or a smaller to larger? And that'll let us know what to do with those numbers. So go ahead and turn to page 525. And right before we start, I want us to use this space here on the page. So here put small to large, and we will divide. And if we're changing from large to small, we will multiply. And honestly, with this stuff, it's the more you practice it, the easier it is to remember that. But this is a nice visual reminder, and we can use that space just to look at and glance at as we go. So just keep those two in mind as we go. And for these examples, I'll make sure to kind of point out which is the smaller and larger as we do that. All right, so with one, Jillian makes 10.5 gallons of lemonade to sell in 1 quart bottles. So a gallon is bigger than a quart. So gallon is our large, and our quarts are smalls. And we know that 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So with that information, and that just verified that the quarts is smaller because it takes 4 of those to make 1 gallon. So if we're doing large to small, we're going to multiply. But I'm going to take this 10.5 and I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. I'm going to do this 10 times 4 right away. And that's going to give me 40 quarts. What I'm left with, though, is half of a gallon. And I know 1/2 gallon, if half of 4 is 2 quarts. So I know the total for these is 42 quarts. There you go. Let's look, turn the page. And again, for some of these last parts of a lesson, we don't do all of them. All right. How many kilograms are equivalent to 450 grams? So I know that 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. So I know my grams are my small, and my kilograms are my large. So, but what we're doing is we're taking the small in this case, and we're converting it to a large, which means we divide. So, and we're going to divide by 1,000. And this is very, very similar to our warm-up, by the way. And for this, we're going to move our decimal 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. And our answer is 0.45 kilograms. Again, very similar to one of those, that opening question, and it makes sense for that one. Okay, let's look at the next one. How many millimeters are in 180 meters? So I know 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. So if you looked at a meter stick and count up all those tiny lines, you would be 1,000 on there. To be 100 centimeters, 1,000 millimeters. So I know meters is large. I know millimeters is small. So if we're converting from large to small, we're going to multiply. So I take my 180, we multiply it by 1,000. And that just means we are going to move our decimal point 3 places, but that just means I'm going to add 3 zeros here to give me 180,000. And that's giving our answer right here. And I do want to check out what they have here. Emily chose A as the correct answer. How did she get that answer? Well, it looks to me as if she divided instead of multiplied. So one thing that you can help you determine if you've got the right answer is just look at it and see if it makes sense. So 180 meters gives you a lot of millimeters because you need 1,000 of them to make 1 meter. So that makes sense. It wouldn't make sense to turn 180 meters into 1/1800ths of a millimeter. That'd be super, super small. All right, let's look at, okay, cross this out. I'm not really a big fan of that. A mining company digs 75 kilograms of silver, and they plan to use 1 gram of silver in each special coin they make. How many grams are equivalent to 75 kilograms? Um, so I know 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. Okay, kilo means 1,000 of, 1,000 more. So kilogram is large, and gram is small. So if we're doing converting from large to small, I've got my 75 kilograms. If it's 1 gram, it's going to be 1,000. And my final answer, again, when you're multiplying by tens, hundreds, thousands, you just add the zeros to your number. It's going to be 75,000 grams. And that's what we would have put up in this box, but I didn't want to use that. And let's do this last one. This is good practice. It seems like a lot of work, but you kind of see. Nope, skip this one. Skip 5. Let's do 6. Okay, this is one where I would encourage you not to do any of your math work in your head, but you might be able to. But let's break it down. Let's do these little mini conversions here. So 3 feet and 7 inches are how many total inches? Well, I know there's 12 inches in a foot, so I know 3 times 12 equals 36. If we add that 7 to it, that gives us 43 inches. If I've got 2 gallons equals 5 quarts, I know there's 4 quarts per gallon. So 2 times 4 equals 8. And 8 minus 5 is a 3. I've got pounds and ounces. I know there's 16 ounces in a pound. So I do 5 times 16, which equals 80. And if I do 80 minus 38, I've got 42. Again, a lot of these I've done on paper on here. That's why I'm not taking too much time to do it. You can use these to check your answers. 60 centimeters into meters. I know there's 100 centimeters in a meter, but look at this one. It wants the total centimeters, so I leave this one alone. But this is the one I change. So 4 times 100 equals 400. And then we add the 60, it's going to be 460 centimeters. 2,000 meters plus 5,000 meters are how many kilometers? I know there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So this is 2 kilometers, and this is 5 kilometers, which gives me 7 kilometers. So there we go. And let me see what else I've got here. And 1 liter minus 150 milliliters. I know 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So if I have 1,000 minus 150, that's going to be 850, just like that. And that's going to be it. In my book, I did another example, but I think that's plenty of review. So I'll leave that there. And your homework is going to be Y18 conversion tables, metric units. And that should be it. Let me know if you need some help.